Hi guys, I'm Saintvicious, and I'm going to be going over the patch 4.18 notes. I haven't really been going over patch notes that much recently, just because they haven't really been that big, but finally there's a big patch, and I can actually go over it a little bit more in depth. I haven't had a chance to play New Scion yet, but I've watched him be played a little bit, and I think that he's going to be kind of like a Nocturne style jungle, where you're going to farm pretty good, because he doesn't have very good pre-6 ganks, because he doesn't really have a gap close or anything like that, but his level 6 gank looks like it's going to be really strong, since he has like that really long range gap closer that also has CC applied to it, and he has follow-up CC on top of that. So, I think he will be a pretty good jungle pick, maybe better suited for solo queue, but I definitely think you'll see him coming up in a lot of people's games. Akali, this is like probably my top ban champion in solo queue right now. I hate Akali so bad, and she's like incredibly annoying in low elo too, just because she can snowball completely out of control, and there's very little you can do to play against her. So what they did was they nerfed her W, which used to give 50 armor and 50 magic resist at max rank, which is pretty damn insane. That's like almost 15 to 1600 gold worth of free stats that you're gonna get just off your W. Um, and it just really made it hard to fight against the Kali. And they changed it over to where basically you can have this like little movement speed boost whenever you go into your W, which is like I think that's pretty good. It gives her more like the ninja element and like moving in and out of her shroud, rather than sitting in the shroud and just like brawling it out with people. So I think this will make her a little bit easier to deal with. But if she's snowballing, she's still gonna like one shot you. And Nivea, these are just like stun indicators. Doesn't really make much of a difference. Just like yeah, that's whatever. All right, Azir changes. I think Azir actually has like he has the possibility to be like an amazingly good champion. But he just has like a couple things holding him back. And one of the ones you can see right here is his base attack speed on release is 0.556, and they upped it to zero point 0.6. This is still one of the lowest, if not the lowest in the game, base attack speeds. Um, and the reason this is bad is because on a champion that has low base attack speed, even if you get attack speed items, his attack speed won't go up that high because of the way that it multiplies it. So let's say you get 100% increased attack speed, it's going to be multiplying off the point 6, whereas some other champions actually have a point 0.7 to multiply it off of. And this is kind of weird for Azir because part of his kit makes you want to build attack speed on him. So you're going to build that Nashor's Tooth, and you're not going to really benefit from all the scaling off of it. I think this change will actually help him out a lot, and it'll also help his laning out a lot too. They also raised his base attack damage, so I think he'll have like a really strong laning phase now, and he'll have a little bit better scaling. And then all these other changes are just really like bug fixes. Like everybody I've talked to that's played Azir, they're like, wow, like he actually could be really good, but his kit is just way too buggy, and it doesn't feel like a clean kit. All these are bug changes, so I'm not really gonna go over them too much, because like yeah, it's just like too much in-depth stuff. Like they're all like little niche things. But I think if they iron it out and make him a smooth to play champion, I think you'll see Azir probably in the LCS, and you'll probably see him in the expansion tournament even. And I definitely think you'll see him in solo queue, like tearing people's asses up. So yeah, I definitely think he's gonna be good now. Ezreal, they buffed his Q to be 1.180 ratio rather than 1.0. This is 0.180. That means for every 180, you're gonna have an extra 10 damage on your Q, which is like big whoop. That's honestly not that much of a difference. But they also raised the buff on his passive to 6 seconds, which is pretty nice because unless you have a little bit of CDR, it's actually kind of hard to keep his attack speed buff on all the time. So I think in these long extended engages, Ezreal is actually going to be a pretty nice force to be reckoned with if you can hit all your abilities. Because Ezreal actually does have a pretty damn nice attack speed buff that I think it's like 50% if you have all the stacks on. Which is pretty good. It's like pretty in line with a lot of the other AD carries outside of like Tristana, who's just like stupid as shit. So maybe you'll see a little bit more Ezreal, but I still think he's going to be outclassed by Lucian and Tristana and those types of champions. Um, Gangplank, this is like such a dumb change. Basically, what they did is they made Gangplank's ultimate into a giant misfortune E, the Make It Rain one. Um, and like it's just it's like such a bad design philosophy. Like I don't know what they're doing at Riot, but I'm not like saying like, man, Gangplank doesn't really have that many mechanics. He's like not that hard to play, so he's like pretty hard to balance. You know what we need to do? We need to just change his ultimate into Misfortune Z. That's what'll balance him. Like in order to balance Gangplank, you have to give him a skill cap. Like you have to give him some skill shots, you have to give him some positioning abilities, you have to give him something that is going to make him more of an interactive character, more like a higher skill cap, so he's easier to balance. Right now, Gangplank only has one ability that can be targeted against another player, and that's his Q. I mean, I'm not going to really count his ult because it's the size of the whole damn screen. Um, and if you have a non-skill shot, one target ability, it's going to make the champion really damn hard to balance, and on top of that, it's going to make him really not fun. Champions like Warwick suffer from this exact same scenario, and the old Scion. You can't give a champion no skill shots and like no. They need to have some outplay potential, and they need to have some type of. They just need to have a more dynamic kit. Like you need to make his kit more robust. And so this change is like sort of heading in the right direction, maybe. I don't know. Like it gives him consistency, but it's just not what he needs. Like it's honestly like a joke of a change. I don't like it. Then here we got the Kha'Zix changes. They lowered his W at higher ranks. Thank God, because Kha'Zix is broken as shit. But what I think people are gonna be doing is like, this is what I was doing before they like made W super strong. Is I was getting 2 points in W, and then I was maxing Q and evolving E, and then I would evolve Q at 11, and just play him as an assassin. And then at 16, you would evolve your W. And the reasoning on this is, if you basically there's only a 5 damage difference on the W at rank 2, and one of the main reasons you get the W up higher in ranks and the benefits of it is you have a really, really, really good way of sustaining your health up in the jungle. So it allows you to power farm very effectively and get the items you need. Um, it's also really good for scrapping. So if you get the 2 points in W, you get the pretty high sustain on the W, and you get this relatively the same clear speed as if you're getting multiple points in W in the early on phases of the game. And then you just max out Q, and you just like that scrappy champion. So I think Kha'Zix is still going to be played a lot, but I think that his early game clearing and all that nonsense is going to be hit a little bit, and he's not going to really be this like super annoying poke champ in the early phase of the game, and now he's just going to be more of a scrap champ, which gives you more room. It gives you more room for counterplay. Because before, like, Kha'Zix would poke you excessively with his W, and he'd whittle you down, and then he would go in when he wants to go in. Now he actually has to, like, go in and fight you, rather than being able to just sit there and poke you. So I think Kha'Zix is still going to be played. He might even still be, like, a top priority pick. Lucian, they nerfed his E to be 40 mana, which is actually really big because one of the key things of Lucian in laning phase is being able to dodge skill shots with no punishment. And you can also E in and get the double auto. So this is going to make Lucian a lot less of a lane bully. And actually, on the note of the Ezreal changes earlier, I think this will make Ezreal a lot more popular because currently, like in the past, like Lucian has just been like an Ezreal that has like all the poke and stuff, but like he doesn't have to. He doesn't like. You can't block his skill shots. Like his Q is still gonna go through. His W has AOE. His like ultimate like insta clears creeps. Like he has a lot of ways of getting his damage onto you when he needs to. And I feel like if they nerfed since they're nerfing this, like it nerfs his poking ability in lane. Lucian will have a lot weaker lane phase, and some of the champions that couldn't lane against him before will be able to lane against him now. This is just a tooltip thing. This is like a bug fix. The Tristana changes. This is like such a weird change. They lowered Tristana's attack speed per level from 4 to 2.5, which is actually really good because Tristana had one of the highest, if not the highest, attack speed per levels in the entire game, which is stupid as hell. Now it's 2.5% per level, which is a little bit more in line with a lot of the other AD carries. Um, and the rapid fire ability now got lowered down to 5 seconds, but this is such a weird change. They raised the attack speed on it by 20% at max rank. Overall, this is going to be a nerf because of the attack speed per level. At 18, you will have not as much attack speed and like for a long duration. So maybe in like the short scrappy fights, Tristana will be really good. But in the longer fights, Tristana might actually not be that good because her attack speed debuff's going to fall off. Like 5 seconds is really not that long if you're having to kite out a fight. But she's still going to have some of the best self-peel in the game, and she's still going to have the longest range in the game. So uh, she's still going to be a really good late game champion. She has kind of a rough lane phase right now, so maybe. What am I even talking about? Tristana's still going to be the most broken piece of shit, and she's still going to be like top lane champion. I'm like trying to reason it out. I'm like, meh, maybe she won't be broken. It's like, nah, she's still broken. I'm still going to ban her every game. Fuck Tristana, dude. Victor, they made it to where his Q can't crit. I don't know who's building AD Victor, but those people are pretty stupid. Wukong, they made it to where your E will no longer pick a secondary target if they're targetable but invisible due to Fog of War. Oh, I've had that happen. We can like E people even if you don't see them. If you like E a creep or E something to the side of them. Not that many people play Wukong, so who cares? Yasuo, they nerfed his base health and they nerfed his base movement speed. This is gonna make his level 1 a lot weaker. It's like 1 through 3 is a lot weaker now. Because before Yasuo could actually scrap it out with a lot of people for the first 3 levels. And then he could also get around the map super fast and he's a highly maneuverable champion. This is gonna tone that down a little bit. I still think he'll be played to an extent, but his lane matchups are gonna be pretty damn rough having that low health now. Um, then everything else, they have the randoms change. It's bugged where it's not in effect right now, but thank God they actually buffed randoms back because I felt like randoms was like I was like actually to the point where I was building Thormail on people if I wanted armor. And they finally buffed randoms back. It's 15% attack speed reduction rather than 10%. This is a really good change. Like randoms is starting to lose its place in the game. I'm glad that they buffed this back to 15%. Then there's a bunch of like in-game things like volume slider changes. Like thank God that you can mute pings now. It is so frustrating when you have somebody raging in game and you can't mute the ping. And they also made it to where you can lower the ambient sounds on your game, which is pretty annoying when you're like bumping music and you got like your game volume loud. The ambient sounds when you load into the game. It's pretty annoying. And that's pretty much it for all the changes. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.